Welcome back to Inside Story. Philadelphia-born rapper Meek Mill is back in jail, a 2 to 4 year term for violating probation. And now there is a controversy about the judge and whether she was too proactive in the case, overarching, some people would say. He did violate a 2008 case where he got probation after drug and gun violations. And she, to her defense, says it was because of multiple violations over that decade and she just had enough. Now, what do you think? Is it time for her to step down and let somebody give a different sentence?
I don't think so, and I think the conversation we ought to be having is about the length of probation. Interesting stuff, probation, celebrities, and all that. Instead, in some cases, Mill is being used as the face of the protests we're seeing in the NFL. And I find that to be just wildly out of sync with this. It's an African-American female judge. But the length of probation and a guy like this screwing up and all, that's a good conversation's getting lost in this other stuff.
Do you think he got the raw end of the deal?
Well, no. I think that when you're placed on probation, it's really a privilege. The court is giving you a chance to rehabilitate yourself and not do it behind bars. So you're best to be on the straight and narrow. And some of the violations are just silly. And you could say, well, too silly to find him and put him in jail. But it does question the power of the court. I do agree with Don. There is an interesting discussion here about length of probation. A lot of judges don't like to put people on probation that long. It just puts them under the microscope for too long, and into sort of an inevitable thing that's going to happen to violate.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go.
Just to piggyback on that, I think the topic of conversation should be about institutional bias. You have 4.65 million people who are either in parole, probation, or being under government supervision. 40% of them are African American. So the question really is not just about Meek Mill, but is that community or Latino community and others, are they being treated differently than others?
Well, that's a legitimate argument.
But that should be the
No, absolutely not. Meek Mill is not the face for that conversation. And can I also say that judge, who I, full disclosure, I personally know, has made it her life's work to try and help young people rehabilitate themselves. Meek Mill, moment after moment, point after point after point, violated, as Dom said, not huge violations, but the critical mass of it was to show an arrogance. And he treated the ADA, the prosecutor, one of the female prosecutors in this case, horrifically, as well as the judge. So we're talking about sexual harassment and the treatment of women in society. He had a problem with that. And can I do my very, very, very quick wrap on this? Okay. You disrespect a lady, you shady, throwing your nose at those who chose to do it clean. What you seek, Meek, is a deal. You real, you do the crime, you do the time.
All right.
There's a first and inside story.
All right, let's talk about sexual harassment. And now several other, 2 and 3 other people have come forward to say that our Philadelphia Sheriff Jewel Williams had handled them in a difficult way or put them in an odd position and harassed them sexually. And now we're being told that there have been payments, one $30,000 payment, if you will. Is there an issue that we need to stop having these non-disclosure agreements that are private agreements agreed to by the victim as well for a payout? There's a bill that's going to be lobbied before the state legislature asking that there be no more of these non-disclosure agreements. Do you think that's wrong?
Well, it's a difficult thing because they are voluntary as part of the negotiation and the settlement of a sexual harassment complaint. And there may be instances where the woman who's brought the complaint wants a confidentiality agreement. She'd like to get her settlement and move on with her life.
And not have her name in the press.
Have her name in the press and have to go through it. So I'm a little bit circumspect about an outright ban. Sometimes there's these reactions, in politics to something, one little thing that happens, in one case, one abuse, and all of a sudden we want to ban on everything. I think it's kind of dangerous.
I would agree. You're taking away a right of a person, some leverage they have here with the non-disclosure. Problem I have is with the national level, with Congress and non-disclosures and public funds that are being used. If it's private, I think the woman should have a chance to make that decision.
But how do you take it from sort of secret backdoor deals as the way it looks to a public person wondering what's going on and why didn't we know that there was a history of this repeat offender?
Look, I think to Jim's point, there is a stigma associated if you're a victim of sexual abuse, of shame, and that's one of the reasons why most people who have been abused and who have been harassed don't come out, even if they should. But we're going through this watershed moment where they're being empowered, where men as well as women are saying enough is enough, and we're changing the climate and the environment where there should be no stigma associated for the victim, but instead the shame should really rightly belong with the harasser.
See, but I see this as a legal matter. Take the sex, take all that type of stuff. To Jim's point, this is a legal matter, and let's say it's going to be a close call. The woman doesn't know if she's going to win or not in this, so she wants to get a settlement. I don't think you should take that right away.
Plus, you're going, I mean, again, as Don says, this is a legal issue, and you can't use proof of a settlement in you know, as proof of guilt against anyone in a legal proceeding. Right. And to me, an accusation is an accusation. And a person may, for many different reasons, decide that they don't want to go to trial on this and they're willing to settle. Why should that person's name be released? Because then you have an accusation just hanging out there without any kind of supporting evidence, but that reputation has been impugned.
Right. All right. That's it for this segment. We're going to take a break and have inside stories for you coming up right after a break. Stick around.
6 ABC's Inside Story is presented by Temple University.